I'm going to talk about the Facebook group I was invited to last week, the one that I just left. Because there were two components to the whole thing. I was invited to, post my new Kickstarter for the ISIS crossover over there, and go over there, and then everything devolves into a light skin, dark skin straw man argument. That was one of the things that frustrated and upset me. But the other component, is one of these moderators, because I was on one of their other boards, Facebook groups, and they're talking about, no solicitors. This is what they're supposed to be a pro-black group that's supposed to be about group economics. Now, I needed help. I'm a black businessman, and I needed help, and the Kickstarter was my way of getting help. And it really upset me to have to deal with this, hypocrisy from this person. You say you're about group economics, but when you have an opportunity to help another black business person, you don't take that opportunity. You talk about the person's a solicitor, no soliciting. That's a hypocritical double standard. It's okay for you, but it's not okay for somebody else. But I knew that there was something wrong, because a couple of days earlier, the same guy, says Kickstarter is a hustle and that black people are using it as a hustle. Now, I put up an argument, to refute it, putting up my own Kickstarter, making the statement that I am not a hustler. I pretty much am going to use this money to pay for this book cover, just like I took my own money when my first Kickstarter failed to pay for this cover. I would plan to do that with the new Kickstarter, but all of a sudden, it dude decides to, tell me in the same message, that he sent me on Saturday, because I posted that Kickstarter thing up Thursday talking about you've been warned for the second time. Now, I haven't even got the message for the first time. And, I was just refuting his argument, putting up a counterpoint saying that not everybody on Kick is running a Kickstarter is a hustler. But, I look at this, and this is why I walked away from both groups because I saw the blatant hypocrisy, behind this pro black, back to Africa Negro and their groups. Because anybody who disagrees with them, they either delete the comments, and it pretty much, because I saw it also a couple of months, even in the summer or October, I was at the library. I posted up a comment about the movie No Good Deed. They said No Good Deed was a success at the box office and that it meant something for black people. And I said, no, it's not a success. I posted this in the Facebook thing. And I said, it's not a success because it's perpetuating the stadium stereotype that got Trayvon Martin killed, Michael Brown killed, and Eric Garner killed. And it perpetuates the racist stereotype of the black brute. All of a sudden, this comment disappears. I go back to the group. All of a sudden, the comment just disappears. I don't know where it went. And, it just showed me the hypocrisy of your pro-blacks and, how they say one thing and they do another. Group economics is good when it's benefiting them and their project because this same person, they had a Kickstarter, to promote their project, but Kickstarter was good for them, but not good for anybody else. Everybody else is a hustler, and you don't want any solicitors on your page, even though people invited me to come to your page to promote my own Kickstarter. Again, it shows you, how dysfunctional some of these pro-black individuals actually are, and how they're not about, pro-blackness and promoting the building of a better black community because this guy always talks about building and what we need to do, and here I am. I'm a guy who was built. Look behind you. I have built, published all these paperbacks, all, well, let me see. Okay, I'll just take a minute to get organized. All these paperbacks, I've published all these, and I've published I don't know, 30, 40 ebooks. I've published over 50 titles in 5 years. So, you know, I have been out here, grinding for years. And, it really hurt me to see, this pro black hypocrite, you know, say all this stuff, because because I've been in their group following them always, and they had been making all these, intellectual statements, and I find this individual is nothing more than a hypocrite and a phony, you know, and they're just using a pro-black agenda to forward it for themselves, and they don't really care about other black people. Now, I truly believe in group economics. I truly believe in helping other black people. I have done this ever since I started the SJS Direct Imprint, and even before then. I've helped other authors. I helped a national best-selling author. She's a very, very good friend of mine. I helped her get all her ebooks to the marketplace, and even though she's making more money than I am, I'm proud to say that I did that. I helped another author, a young girl from my college, fellow alumnus. I helped her get her book to the marketplace, and I didn't charge her a single cent. And I sat there and I was patient with her, and I helped her get that book to the marketplace. Again, her book was a tremendous success. I helped a good friend of mine, Lawrence Cherry. He wanted to publish 2 Christian fiction books. I helped him out, and I charged him less than a print-on-demand company would. And I did all that work, to help another black person. I have been helping black people for years. And I can even talk about, how I even helped actress Sally Richardson Whitfield with her Kickstarter. She had a Kickstarter last year, right around the same time as mine was about to fall apart. And she wanted to do this Broadway play where she was playing Lena Horne. So I wrote a blog promoting her Kickstarter. Um, I put links in my own Twitter and my own Facebook as I saw it going along. And you know what? Miss Richardson thanked me for helping her out, and she favorited those tweets, and she showed appreciation and gratitude that your pro-black Negroes did not show me. And also, I also made a video, saying about how much Sally Richardson Whitfield's work inspired my work, and she favorited that one and shared it with her friends. Same thing. Um, you know, but I look at this, it really hurt my feelings in some ways, and I'm a hard guy to hurt, because I've been through a lot as a writer. I have dealt with, constant rejection, and it rolls off me now. But because I really believe in group economics, I really believe in building that strong black community, and building those businesses, and I have made every effort, to help build other black businesses in the black community. Um, and when I see guys like this, they say one thing and they do another. They come at you, it takes me back to a time in my life. I mean, I remember in 1989, after I got mugged on the train, um, you know, that after that happened to me, and they took took one of my Reebok jacket back in the day. What had happened? I saw the truth about these Negroes, and it was a painful thing for me to see. And this took me back to 1989, where I saw the truth, about Negroes. And I see, 25, 26 years, and nothing has changed about this Negro. Not a single thing. They're still the same dysfunctional individuals I left at Park West High School. Because after that had happened to me, and these people, after they heard about, what had happened to me, they made fun of me, they disrespected me, and I got to the point where I got disgusted. I mean, even in my own depression and anxiety, I reached a point, where I hit the rock bottom point, and I said to myself, you know what, I'm just going to leave these Negroes alone. And after I prayed to God to change my life for the better, and my mother took me out of that school, I left the Negro alone. And it was something, it hurt to do, and it hurts me to do it, even think about doing it again. But this is what I'm thinking about doing again with this Negro, because I see, based on the actions, nothing has changed with this Negro. He is still the same, still acting in the same juvenile way. Because when I was in those two groups, it was the same juvenile stuff. It's like I was as I saw in my junior high school and high school years. It's a social clique where if everybody has to agree with one person. There's no difference of opinion. Um, you know, and that's junior high school. As a 41-year-old man who is, taking his licks as a writer, people disagreeing with me, is a part of my life. I get 1-star reviews, some on some ebooks. I got, a 2-star review on Amari's Revenge that I felt was unfair, but I took it like a man, you know. And I've had to deal with, constant rejection in my life. This book right here. Temptation of John Ames. This book was rejected 500 times um, by publishers and literary agents, and it took. And in order to get to that point, eventually those rejections started rolling off me, and I learned how to deal with rejection. I learned how to deal with, people disagreeing with me. I learned how to deal with the difference of opinion. And, it saddens me to see, this grown man who can't take, a difference of opinion and to the point where, everything has to be their way. I mean, that's the way a female thinks. And this is somebody who talks about manhood and being a grown man. And you look at this Negro, if you really deconstruct him, it shows you, you're acting like a dude from a female-headed household. And the irony is, I come from a female-headed household. That's the saddest part. And I have more resolve than this so-called Negro. In these Facebook groups, I have more resolve than some of them. I come from a female-headed household. I only saw my father maybe about once a week, and we talked on the phone. That was about it. But I look at this, the cattiness, the backbiting, the infighting, and other stuff that I saw in this Facebook group. You know, where this guy got to the point where if somebody was in another group um, that he was having a rivalry with, he listed all their names and said he threatened to unfriend all of them. And I looked at that and I said, that is some junior high, you know, girl stuff. That's what girls do. You're friends with somebody else or you're with somebody else. I'm not going to be friends with you. Because that's what my sister had to deal with back when she was a kid. And this is some feminine behavior. A man can disagree with another man and then be associated with another man. And as a grown man, I looked at that behavior and it was suspect to me. I was like, you listed all these people's names and threatened to unfriend them and threatened to kick them out of your group. This is dysfunctional. This is female behavior. This is feminine. Yet you want to talk about manhood again? Hypocrisy. And this is just it disturbs me. You can't disagree with anybody, and you're this perfect person, and listen to this dysfunction. And you always have all these answers with these 50-cent words. This is what this Negro has. It's like 50-cent words, and anybody comes at him with a difference of opinion that, here come the 50-cent words and the shaming tactics. Again, shaming tactics just like a female. You're wrong. I'm always right. This is the same behavior as a female. You know, and I saw these little, hairline fractures because I look at hairline fractures and things. And because people, again, they show themselves through their actions. This is something I learned in screenwriting. Your actions define your character. Now, my actions, they're not perfect, but I'm pretty fairly consistent. Again, the examples I gave you about the group economics, and how I've participated in it since 2011. I've even done it before then. I mean, the onyxlink.com, they asked me to write articles for them. I did those articles for free. StopTheCoonery.com, I did articles for them for free. I'm always out to help a good black cause, and after this experience, I'm really considering, going back to where I was at Park West after I came out of Park West and I moved to Taft, where I left these Negroes alone because I really saw that, again, a lot of these Negroes who talk about solutions really don't want solutions. A lot of these Negroes who talk about change really don't want change because I know what change is because I had to actually experience change in my life. You know, I've had to deal with, constant, I had to, the reason why I'm like, about 70, 80 pounds overweight is due to change because I had to deal with, dealing with these dysfunctional Negroes and, trying to adjust to them as I came out of one environment to another and dealing with the stress and the anxiety of dealing with them. And you know what? I looked at that incident, at that what had happened that weekend. I said, you know, it's just time for me to walk away from this Negro. It's like '89 all over again. Nothing has really changed. These guys, they've grown older, but they have not grown up. They have not they're still, pulling the same old junior high school stuff, still, forming the same social cliques, still, you know, worrying about social currency, still talking about celebrities, still talking about, stuff that does not matter. They're not, like me on the ground out here, grinding like I have over the last, you know, 7 years, even though I haven't had a job. I've been grinding out here, taking my own personal savings, investing my own money in these book projects, trying to reach black people, trying to give them those positive stories about the black experience, trying to give them that broader perspective. You know, all these Negroes want to do is sit there and get in these Facebook groups and complain about stuff. And meanwhile, guys like me are working on solutions, you know. And it pains me to see that, some of the people who are the biggest ones talking about group economics and talking about black empowerment only want empowerment for themselves. They're basically a bunch of talented 10th Negroes in dashikis made in Taiwan, pumping up their fists and building imaginary empires of shea butter that they bought from Koreans and white women. And, you know, that's what really disgusts me, about that whole incident last weekend. You get invited to go to this group. You think you're going to be, participating in group economics. You think you're going to be working with people who are serious about making change in the black community and, presenting positive images. Because what I wanted to do with this Kickstarter, because when I do fantasy and stuff, I understand how limited, it is for black people. Um, and how nobody really puts out other things like fantasy and science fiction and really puts that diversity on our bookshelves. And it meant a lot to me, because people have complained to me constantly about the covers. um, and I really wanted to create a solution. I've been trying to create a solution since 2014. I thought, back then, with this Isis Wrath of the Cyber Goddess, that people would be willing to participate in a solution. If you complain about a cover, you complain about covers like this, you would want to participate in helping me create covers like this. But I see the truth now, regarding this Negro again. I said it before, but, it's just like 1989 in my life. Same dysfunctional Negroes still arguing over the same things. I mean, I remember back when I was in Park West, when I had fallen into my depression and pretty much having my eyes open to see the truth about these Negroes, you know, all they wanted to do was talk about Air Jordan sneakers, the Gap, Gap clothes, who's dating who's sleeping with who said what. And I look at these, like many of these Facebook groups, and it's the exact same thing. And it's embarrassing, to this, see what happened, and that nothing has changed. I mean, I have changed over the last 25 years, 26 years into somebody completely different. I mean, I remember when I was a introverted, awkward person, and I even remember even back as far as 2002, 2003, after I lost another job, and I went into another depression because one of this boss said that my voice was a hostile voice. I had become silent. I couldn't speak, and I look at myself now, and that I'm now able to speak, and make these videos, and it shows how much I've grown. I mean, there was a time when I couldn't even replay my own videos because I had such anxiety over my own voice. But that shows that these pro black talented talented tenth wannabes, because they really want to be the talented tenth. They've got theirs. Screw the rest of us. That's their attitude and their way of thinking. That they're the only ones who are going to have the solutions for the black community. Their ideas are the only ideas for the black community. Oh, I'm sorry. You're not the only one with ideas to help the black community. You're not the God of the black community. And you need to get over your God complex, because just as a God, just as your imaginary God status you think you're at, you can fall just as easy. Because, people who think that they're God, God has a way of humbling them, and their arrogance, and their hubris. And, you know, the world doesn't revolve around you, and it doesn't revolve around your Facebook groups or your YouTube videos. And just like you can make them, I can make them. I have a MacBook, I have a camera, I can make videos, I can make statements just like any other black person. And, you know, everybody has an opinion, everybody has a right to disagree. When people come to my blog, www.shawnsjames.blogspot.com, guess what they do? They disagree with me. I don't have a problem with it. Again, I've published over 50 books. I've had to deal with numerous um, bad reviews on certain ones. And then same people will come back, some other people all over the world, because I've had readers all over the world, come back and give that same book a good review. And also when it comes down to blogs, the same thing. So, it just shows me, the maturity level of the people in these Facebook groups. And it shows me, how they run things. Um, just pure immaturity. Still stuck in junior high, still talking about a grown man's game when you're still playing like a junior high school kid. If people, I mean, you can't put stuff out there, say things like Kickstarter is a hustle, and people are using it for a hustle. And then when somebody presents you with an opinion that is completely different, you delete the post. Or when somebody tells you that no good deed is not a success, the post mysteriously disappears. Or when somebody, that's not maturity. I was a 41, 40, going on 42-year-old man. I have had, who has worked in the publishing field and worked in the entertainment business, for almost 20 years. Um, you're going to have to learn how to deal with differences of opinion. I have had to deal with differences of opinion, running my blog, publishing books. It's a part of my life, you know, and it's just something I have had to deal with on a regular basis. You can't take somebody disagreeing with you. You're not going to make it in this business. You're not going to make it, making whatever you want to make. Because because when it comes down to dealing with other people's opinions, it's a part of life. And when you're in the business like I am, doing publications, blogs, social media, and you're doing other things, you're going to have to deal with difference of opinion. And you cannot kick stuff out there. This is something I learned to strive. You can't kick something out here and then say, backpedal. You put this out here. You make a statement saying Kickstarter is a hustle. And I can go back to all these, not only my Kickstarter, but the Kickstarters of a dozen white people. They're not hustling. And then you use Kickstarter to get yours done, but then everybody else can't. You want group economics for you, but you don't want it for anyone else. That's hypocrisy. That shows an elitist, talented 10th way of thinking. And when you think like a talented 10th, you're just basically saying, I've got mine, screw you. And I'm hoping other people wake up and see the truth, because if you say you got yours, screw you, that's not group economics. That's not helping to build a better, that's not building. That's not, because if you can't work with others, you're not going to be able to build anything. Because in order to build a black community, you have to work with other people like myself. And as I look at it right now, I don't want to work with Negroes like this. If they're going to come in here with their arrogance, their self-centeredness, their narcissism, and the maturity of a 12-year-old girl, then I'd rather take my resources and go deal with some people who can act like an adult.